Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to this afternoon session. I'm Anita from Bouncebackability, and it's great to be here. And I'm joined by an amazing person, amazing friend of mine, Joe Kehoe. And Joe and I have worked together for many, many years, and I thought it would be really good to just get your thoughts, Joe, in terms of coming out of lockdown. So we've had a lot in the news around the different countries and their strategies of coming out of lockdown, and I just thought it would be really good to get some kind of views from yourself around lockdown and also what life looks for you afterwards. So I guess my first question, Joe, is like, I'm really curious because you've always always sort of come over to me as being a very calm, very considered individual, very unflappable in about the 9 years that I've known you. But I know that like many, lockdown brought some kind of stresses and some turmoil, if you like. So what did you find most difficult about lockdown, Joe, and the restrictions?
Yes, hi Anita. I may seem quite calm, but I'll be honest. I really struggled with lockdown, particularly initially that sort of first lockdown. And I think the things that I found most difficult to start off with on a personal level was just not seeing family. So really close to my family, but we do live sort of anything between an hour and 3 hours away from each other, so we didn't get to see each other, and I found that very hard. It's sort of emotionally quite difficult, and just I'm a hugger. I physically miss seeing people. And then from a work point of view, I have my own business. I work for myself. Overnight most work disappeared.
This time last year, we're just like, we had so much work in the diaries, and then it's like,
where did it all go? And I initially, I'll be honest, I didn't cope with it particularly well. There was quite a lot of tears. There was a lot of indecision. There was also, I found it really hard, the bits of work that I did have, I found it really hard to motivate myself to actually do those bits of work. So initially it was almost that shock to the system of the thing that has defined me for the last 10 years. I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do now? So yeah, it was really tough. Like most other people, I think I found it, and I got a little frustrated if I felt people weren't following the rules as well, which is odd. You'd see people, and perhaps neighbours would be having visitors, and you'd be like, well, we're not allowed that. And I got, and I didn't like that about myself, because it's almost like I'm casting judgment on others. I'm like, I don't like that. So yeah, it was tough. It was tough.
So fair to say, like you say, quite tough. And I know how close you are to your family, and your mum lives quite a few hours away from you. But yeah, I'm a bit like you. Finding myself having very different reactions to situations that ordinarily I don't think would really have bothered me. And I know we had a really great WhatsApp group going where there was lots of shared experiences, and we kept, for me, it really kept me going, and I suppose it did for you too as well.
Definitely. Joe. Yeah, definitely. The support, and we all had bad days, and just the support we were getting from a really brilliant group of ladies was just amazing, because when one was having a bad day, someone else might have been having a good day, so it was just really helpful to lift the spirits.
We got that nice balance, didn't we? In terms of, but also that insight that actually it wasn't just you. I felt sometimes that is it only me that's struggling here, or is it only me that's really enjoying today and everybody else is panicking because of X, Y, and Z sort of thing. So and what obviously quite a difficult time, and we've been going through it for over a year now. What would you say surprised you most about what you actually enjoyed about it?
I enjoyed the slowing down, and I wasn't sure, I don't know. I love my job, and I still love my job, but I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed that slower pace of life, the not feeling that I've got to rush around, and the not staying in hotels, the being at being at home, which I really actually enjoyed more than I thought I would. I've really enjoyed not feeling the pressure to do things. So not getting to Friday night and thinking, all right, okay, you know, jam-packed weekend, but getting to Friday night and there's sort of pleasure in not having anything to do for the weekend, nowhere to be particularly. I found that lovely.
It was that ability, wasn't it, that we've often talked about over the last 9 years is, I love my job. I am busy. Wouldn't it be nice every now and again just be able to put a pause button and press the pause button? And all of a sudden, that's exactly what we did. We had that pause button, and we got quite creative, didn't we, together in terms of new products and new things to do that I don't think we would have really gone there had we not been in lockdown.
No, it's the age old thing, we wouldn't have had the time, you know, whereas actually it was this huge gift of time that we were given that for me really made me stop and thinking, they're going for a walk every day that I would never normally have done. You know, making that time to go for a walk every day was just lovely, and get some fresh air and exploring where I live, which, you know, I've lived here for 18 years and found bits of it that I didn't even know existed. So it's just really nice.
And I suppose to some degree, you know, you and I have been very similar in that we've often worked away from home a couple of nights a week in hotels. And I think pre-lockdown, we would have told ourselves we quite enjoyed that, and it was nice to get away, and that kind of balance between being at home and not. And I certainly know for one, I've really, really enjoyed working from home, and I'm not sure I miss that other side of my life. What about you?
I don't miss it at all. I definitely don't miss it. I similar to yourself, I would think nothing of being away a couple of nights a week. It felt like it was just how my life was. But I think, and for obvious reasons, that's not happening at the moment. I think I will find it very hard to go back to doing that. Because I have really enjoyed, you know, I've enjoyed potting around in the garden in an evening when the nights are lighter, and forcing myself to go for a run in the morning, and those kind of things, which if I was in a hotel, I wouldn't bother doing. So, yeah.
So, Jo, I think we've got a chance to reshape what our lives look like. You know, it has, you know, for many been a tough year. For others, it's been enjoyable and lots of things learned. And I think most people that will be listening will resonate with your story of, yes, actually it was tough, but there were some really good things there. So what are some of the lessons? What are some of the changes that you plan to make? So I think people are talking about, you know, going back to normal. I'm not sure normal exists at the moment. No. We've got this opportunity to kind of recreate our lives. So what does that look like for you, Jo? What are you really going to kind of grit and determination to do?
Yeah, I think, I mean, one of the things I think is feeling it's okay to say, no, I don't necessarily want to do that, or to continue with the ways that we're both working and living at the moment. I think, you know, feeling it's okay to say no, and not feel guilty for doing so as well. You know, I would have terrible guilt if I said no to things. So I think that's one thing that I'm really keen to take away. And the other is just about how creative we have been in keeping in touch with people. So I live in Leicester. My niece, who's 8, is in Winchester, and we started a thing during the first lockdown called Baking Buddies, where we bake every Friday afternoon via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. And we've done it since May. We've done it every Friday. It's not helpful for the waistline, but and I'm really, you know, I feel so much closer to her because we were close before, but we wouldn't have. I'm seeing her grow up in it. She's only 8, but I'm seeing her grow up, and I think those are the kinds of things that I would want to keep on and keep on doing. Just so the creative way in which we've kept in touch with people, but also the not feeling too guilty if I've got nothing planned for a weekend and I want a bit of me time.
I think that's a really great point, and I think. Often when change comes into a life, whether it's been forced like it has over the last year, or whether now we're going to make those conscious decisions, often we can feel that guilt. So like you say, that guilt of maybe saying no to a piece of work on a Friday afternoon because you want to spend that time with your niece, or maybe that guilt that actually we're taking time for ourselves to make sure that we do carry on doing our exercise and our activities. I think that's probably a real key takeaway from today, is just to kind of, you know, reiterate to the people that are watching this, that sometimes that can feel uncomfortable, but just because it feels uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it's wrong. You know, quite often it is the right thing to do, but the discomfort comes from the fact that, you know, we've shifted from, and like you say, often it's our identity that's involved in all of this. You know, if a big part of our lives is our work, and if that's how we build our identity, all of a sudden that identity is shifting a little bit. So I think, you know, real key takeaway for me around lockdown is that even some of the new things I want to do, or, you know, I don't want to go back to some of the old things that I was doing. And like yourself, I do want to take more time. But I can often feel guilty, and you have to work. I think, you know, from a mental health perspective, you know, we have to work just as hard on our mental health as we do our physical health. And it takes practice and it takes time, doesn't it? And I think, you know, that's a really good outcome. And it's so lovely to hear, you know, you talk about, you know, that time with your niece. And, you know, in the beginning, it was really difficult because you struggled not seeing your family, but actually in different ways, we're connecting, you know, with the younger people in the family, or in different ways. And you and I are, you know, going and with the girls that we kind of all supported each other through lockdown. We're having a pamper party remotely.
Can't wait.
And it's things like that. And we wouldn't necessarily have done that pre-lockdown, but this kind of way of working and communicating has given us that opportunity. Joe, what would be your kind of one tip for people kind of coming out of lockdown now, and, you know, and where life might be a little bit different, and you might, you know, actually want to kind of reshape stuff? What would be your biggest tip for the people that are listening to this?
Yeah, I think the thing that's really resonated with me, and the thing that the sort of the tip that I take away, I'm going to pinch from a guy called Dave Hollis that I saw during the first lockdown, and he talks about rushing back to normal. And thinking about what normal looks like. And I think for me, it's just to take this opportunity. My tip and what I'm trying to do is to take this opportunity to go, let's just think about, is this something I really want to do? Is this something that, do I want to go back to doing that? And if so, brilliant. But if not, I have a choice and I have a great opportunity now to make a change. So yeah, I think it's that not rushing back to how things were previously. It is what I'm going to take away.
And we've both experienced the diary's getting very busy very quickly already. So I'm going to hold you to account for that. So checking in and making sure you're doing your baking on a Friday afternoon. Joe, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you this afternoon. I really hope our viewers have enjoyed and have taken something from what we've learned over the lockdown. But for now, thank you very much. And
thanks for having me.
Excellent. And I'll see you on Thursday for our pamper evening.
Absolutely. Thanks, Anita.
All right, Joe. Thanks very much.